The hardest thing I ever did was place my house keys on the counter and walk away. 23 years in this house. Raised two kids here, celebrated every holiday, built a life. Then 2008 happened. The bank said I owed $340,000 on a house now worth $180,000. They gave me 90 days to figure it out or leave. Everyone told me what I'd lost: my credit, my equity, my security, my American dream. But what saved me? Nobody talks about it. Not the banks, not the financial advisors, not even the articles about recovering from foreclosure. What saved me was something I didn't even know I had until I lost everything else. To understand what saved me in 2008, you need to know how I got that house in the first place, and more importantly, why I almost didn't buy it at all. This was 1985. I was 33, newly divorced, two kids under 10, and terrified. 1985. Single mother, secretary salary $18,000 a year. This house cost $67,000. Every bank I talked to found a reason to say no. Your income profile does not meet our current lending criteria. We recommend reapplying with a co-borrower or increasing your down payment to 25%. I had $4,000 saved. They wanted $13,400 for a down payment, or $16,750 if I applied a loan. I was $9,400 short of a house I could barely afford anyway. The Equal Credit Opportunity Act had passed in 1974. Banks couldn't legally say, "You need a husband," but they found other ways to say no to women like me. My coworker, male, same job, same salary, similar credit, got approved with 15% down. I was quoted 25%. They never said why. I should have given up. Any rational person would have. In the 1980s, Federal Reserve studies documented what women already knew. We faced higher denial rates, higher down payment requirements, and higher interest rates, even with identical credit and income. The system wasn't designed for women like me, but my neighbor, Mrs. Chen, wasn't designed for the system either. This notebook changed everything. The night I got my 5th rejection letter, I was crying in my apartment. My neighbor, Mrs. Chen, heard me through the wall. She knocked on my door at 9 p.m. with this notebook and a pot of tea. She said, "In my country, we didn't have banks like here. We had each other. You need house? We figure out." Within 2 weeks, Mrs. Chen had organized 23 families in our apartment building. We created what she called a buying circle. Each family contributed $50 a month to a shared fund. When someone needed something big, house, car, medical emergency, the circle helped. Mrs. Chen's community had been doing this for generations. While mainstream banks were the only option most Americans knew, immigrant communities had built parallel financial systems based on trust instead of credit scores. These circles had no paperwork, no legal contracts, no credit checks, just promises. And they worked. 6 months into the buying circle, Mrs. Chen knocked on my door again. 23 families, most of them didn't even know me, had pooled enough to cover my down payment shortfall. This was our contract. No lawyers, no notary, just 23 signatures and a promise. Diane Martinez receives $9,400 for house purchase. In return, she contributes to Circle for Next Family and helps organize when needed. This obligation expires never. Expires never. I didn't understand what that meant. Not until 2008, when everything fell apart. But before I tell you about 2008, you need to meet someone else who's learning what expires never really means.
I don't understand how I got here. I did everything right. 20% down, Good credit score, 740, fixed rate mortgage at 3%. Then my company restructured. My hours got cut from 40 to 28, and my fixed payment, not so fixed. My base payment is locked at $1,800, but my escrow isn't. Property taxes jumped $240 a month. Insurance doubled after those wildfires. My fixed mortgage went from $1,800 to $2,650. 60 days. That's all I have to come up with $18,000 or lose my condo.
In 2024, foreclosure filings started climbing again, up 13% from the year before. Not because of subprime mortgages like 2008, because of everything around the mortgage: taxes, insurance, job instability.
My parents keep saying, just work harder, get a second job. But I'm already doing gig work on weekends.
Marcus, let me show you something. And then let me tell you a story about 2008. What saved me then is the same thing that's going to save you now. But first, you need to understand where this came from and why it still works.
A lending circle? I've heard of those, but
Not just lending, living. Let me show you what I mean. Come with me. There's something I need to show you first. In 2008, I was exactly where you are now, except I thought I was safe. I thought I'd learned enough from 1985 to be protected. I was wrong. Let me show you what happened, and more importantly, what happened after. This is where it started. By 2006, my $67,000 house in Phoenix was appraised at $340,000. Everyone told me I was rich. I could refinance, take out equity, upgrade. I got 5 offers a week. Unlock your home's value. You deserve this equity. Mrs. Chen told me that not real money, that just numbers. But I didn't listen because this time I thought I knew better. I refinanced, took out $80,000 in equity, paid off credit cards, new kitchen, college fund for my daughter. My mortgage went from $800 a month to $2,300. The broker said, "Your house is gaining value so fast, you can refinance again in 2 years." That was the lie that killed millions of families. Between 2008 and 2012, 10 million American families lost their homes. The average home lost a third of its value. Mine lost more than half. And suddenly, that $2,300 payment was impossible. December 2008. I'd missed 3 payments. The bank sent the final notice. I called the bank to negotiate. They said, "We don't negotiate with people who are underwater. You owe $340,000 on a house worth $180,000. We'd rather foreclose." I sat at that table calculating everything I was losing. 23 years of payments, every improvement, every memory. Then I saw that notebook, and I remembered this obligation expires never. I hadn't talked to Mrs. Chen in years. She'd moved to Texas, but her daughter Linda still lived in the old building. I made the hardest phone call of my life. I called to apologize, to tell Linda I was losing the house their community had helped me buy, that I'd failed. Linda said something I'll never forget. She said, "You didn't fail. The circle just found its purpose." 2 weeks after that phone call, I walked through my empty house for the last time. The hardest thing I ever did was place my house keys on the counter and walk away.
My mother helped you buy this house in '85. 17 families from the original circle are still here. Now we help you.
I'm losing everything. I have nowhere to... Your obligation expired never, remember? This is just a different chapter.
You have everywhere. That's what the circle means. After you called, I called the others. Took us 3 days to figure it out. You're moving into Mrs. Park's basement apartment, rent-free for 1 year while you rebuild.
I can't accept.
Not accepting. Circle rules. You helped 3 families buy houses after yours. Their kids are helping you now.
After 1 year, you move to the Martinez family's rental house. Subsidized rent, $600 instead of $1,800 until you're stable.
And 12 of us co-signed a business loan for you, $15,000. You wanted to start that catering business, right?
I thought I'd lost everything.
You lost a building. You still have a home. It's just not made of wood anymore. Your obligation expired never, remember? This is just a different chapter.
So the circle, it saved you?
The circle saved me. But more than that, it gave me a framework for how to save myself and how to save others. Which brings me to you. This is yours. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to make a list of everyone you know who might be facing similar problems. Job cuts, housing costs, medical bills, student loans.
But I don't have money to help them.
Neither did Mrs. Chen in 1985. Neither did Linda in 2008. Money isn't what makes a circle work. What makes it work is showing up, skills, time, willingness to ask for help and give it. You said you do gig work on weekends, right? What kind?
Graphic design, website building, some social media management.
There's your first contribution. Who do you know who might need those skills but can't afford to pay market rate?
My neighbor, Sarah, she's trying to start a small business but doesn't have a website. And my friend James got laid off, needs help with his resume and LinkedIn.
This is how it starts. Not with money. With one person willing to say, I need help, and another person willing to say, I can offer this.
So 3 months ago, I was 60 days from foreclosure. I had $18,000 to come up with and no idea how.
Today, I'm still in my condo. Here's how.
11 families. We meet every Thursday. In 3 months, we've raised $7,200 toward my shortfall through monthly contributions, $50 to $100 per family based on what they can afford. I've done free website work for 4 Circle members' businesses. In return, they've hired me for paid projects that brought in $8,400. Sarah, the neighbor I helped with her website, her business took off. She paid me $2,500 as a thank you, even though it was circle work. Total raised $18,100, more than I needed. The extra is going into the circle's emergency fund.
But here's what's really different. I'm not afraid anymore.
Research on lending circles, like those studied by Mission Asset Fund, shows they work, not just because of the money, but because of accountability, community support, and knowing that others depend on you. You know what I spent 23 years believing? That my house was my security, my foundation, my net worth. Losing it in 2008 destroyed me for about 6 months. Then I realized something. The house was never the foundation. These were. These names, these promises, these people who showed up when I had nothing left to offer. I learned I'd been measuring wealth wrong my whole life. I thought it was square footage, appraisal values, equity. Now I rent a 1,000 square foot apartment. I'll never build equity again. My credit took 7 years to recover. And I'm wealthier now than I ever was in that house. This is yours now too. Add to it, learn from it, but most importantly, make sure this one becomes someone else's 2008 notebook 20 years from now.
You mean pass it on?
That's what expires never means. It's not just about you being helped, it's about you becoming the helper. The cycle doesn't end, it expands.
So when I tell people about this, I'm not just telling my story. I'm telling Mrs. Chen's story from 1985.
And 40 years from now, someone will tell your story from 2025. That's how wisdom survives. Banks measure wealth in assets and liabilities. They look at your balance sheet. But Mrs. Chen taught me to measure wealth differently. She measured it in obligations that expire never. So here's what I want to know. In the comments, tell me, what's in your circle? Or what should be in your circle? Is it the neighbor who watches your kids when you work late? The friend who lent you money when you were desperate? The community that showed up when you lost everything? Or are you like Marcus was 3 months ago, realizing you don't have a circle yet, that you've been building equity but not community? Share your story, because the first step to building a circle is naming who's already in it, or who should be. And if you're facing foreclosure, job loss, medical bankruptcy right now, any of the things that make banks see you as high risk, leave a comment. Someone in this community might just be your Mrs. Chen, or your Linda, or your Diane.
This is what saved you.
This is what saves all of us. The bank took my house in 2008, the best thing that ever happened to me. Not because I wanted to lose it, but because losing it taught me what I should have known all along. Your real net worth isn't what you own. It's who shows up when you own nothing. Mrs. Chen planted a seed in 1985. It's now a forest.